Well, welcome to the In the Spirit of Things, folks. And we like to go down rabbit trails nobody really wants to go down, and they're not really rabbit trails. They're actually valid trails. Tonight we have a couple of special guests in the loop as well to join me in the call, so it's going to be a beautiful call. And just before we get started, before I go to my special guest, I just wanted to cover, because I know people have been having a problem to get onto privatist.me site. So we posted, for those who came through the door of Blog Talk Radio, in the spirit of things, it's posted right up underneath the 714-868-0749. All you got to do is copy, paste, and put it in your browser icon, folks, your browser port, and it'll bring you right over to privatist.me. And when you sign up and get in, you'll be able to go ahead and see the 8-week curriculum up there on documents I posted last week, as well as the audio call. So that's trying to give everybody a little more direction of flow and ease of access to getting to the site, because I know we had plenty of callers last Saturday, and that many callers, 12 only were able to get through the door. So we're going to try and make this easier. So like I say, it's https://privatist.me. That's the site. And you just go ahead and put that icon in your browser, and you'll be able to get into the site, sign up for free so that you can keep up with the curriculum that I do Saturdays to move forward into basically getting a lot more clarity on how this all started and what the solutions are and how you can apply them. And on that, I'm going to go over. I have Captain Jade. Her and I have been conversing for some time, for some months, and very sharp blade in the drawer. I'll call her a female Peter because she talks and walks like me, so she's got skills. She's a sharp blade in the drawer. I really appreciate her because we speak, we dialogue, and she challenges me on different levels, and she's a deep drink of water. So I like a deep drink of water. That's why she's a captain, and she doesn't drown. She doesn't need her floaties to come play in the pool. So it's beautiful to have the captain on board. And Captain, are you there?
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Peter. Just wanted to say hello to everybody out there who's listening. This is my first radio appearance. Can you hear me okay, Peter?
Yeah, it's break it up just a little bit. Anyways, hopefully that works itself out as we move along. Let me give you a little bit more overview. Folks, she has a beautiful site, a plethora of outstanding information over at her site, Creo Harmony, and I'm pretty sure it is posted. Is that correct, Jade? It's Creo Harmony. Is that .org or .net or?
Yes, that's creoharmony.blogspot.com, and you can also listen in on the YouTube at Creo Harmony. And I picked that name simply because Creo is the creation of life, and harmony is where we'd like to get to. We are not in a state of harmony with this earth, nor are we in a state of harmony with the government. So that's where I'd like to get to.
Very good. Yeah, we've been dialoguing for some time now. Like I say, you take me to the deep end of the drink, but I do know how to swim. Don't need my floaties with you. So I really appreciate you bringing forward so much beautiful information, and you have a deep well of knowledge, and it's great to talk to somebody who really can banter back and forth, and they don't lose me, and I don't lose them. So it's a beautiful thing when we get on the same page, and hopefully we don't lose our brothers and sisters tonight. We're going to try and keep this really simple because you are bringing forward. How did you manage it? Matter of fact, I want to ask you one question. What made you decide to start peeling the layers of the onion back? What invoked you to know that something was amiss, but what was wrong?
I was doing intellectual property licensing for semiconductors, and then about 2009, I went to work for an attorney in the mortgage industry, and I realized that, there had to be some other remedies that were missing here, and most attorneys were not in tune at that time, but now they become more aware. In relationship to mortgages, it expanded out to credit cards, car loans, then the Treasury, and then the Federal Reserve and the government. So it's it's all interlinked, and it has to do with everybody, a state. Everybody has an estate, although they're not well in tune to be controlling it at this time. And Peter and I, we discuss, different remedies, because when you finish researching, you're doing this, constantly all day long, you want to get to a remedy, right? And you want to get to a point where you're actually able to express that remedy to others so that they can follow along. And it's going to depend on the individual's mindset when they get into it, because a lot of these are not cookie cutter type remedies. You got to think out of the box. A lot of the times the schools are not training the students to be thinking outside the box. And that's really when you're focused on fixing a remedy, you're going to think outside the box, right? Right, Peter?
Right. It seems like your end is sort of breaking up. I'm asking my producer if they say it's pretty clear on their end, so we're going to move forward. And I really didn't quite catch the question because it seems like we're breaking up on mine.
I was saying that we have to think outside the box if we want to figure out the solution.
Correct. Oh,
right.
Most definitely. That's where I've been pretty much most of my life. For our brothers and sisters who are on the call today, we're going to go. We have a. Okay. All right. How did that happen? Anyways, my calls always are fun. Anyways, we have a beautiful document that it's not for everybody's perusal, but it's just an informational overview format. So we're going to try and keep this simple and then integrate some dialogue and hopefully do some questions and answers at the top of the hour after the second break. Because this is stuff, folks, this is a little bit of the deep end, but it really is all about the trust. It's really about probating the estate. And we've pretty much figured that out, So now we're trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together to collectively remove the so-called presumptions that keep us from, the estate, basically, so they can't keep stealing the beneficial interest of every man, woman, and child, thinking that we didn't want it. Isn't that correct, Captain?
Yes. What we're trying to identify is the root cause of the problem, and once we know what the problem is, then we can get to a remedy. This is going to affect everybody's lives, not just, people in this country, but people internationally as well, because the whole system, if you're under, any type of Federal Reserve type system with fiat money, these are all applicable because most of England, the corporation crown, and also the Vatican controls all of the various different estates for everybody on this planet. And this is going to take some time to understand. It's not just going to be one call. You guys are going to have the breadth of knowledge that you need to fix the problem. But the root cause of the problem we're going to get into is the cessticate trust. People throw that term around, and we want to identify where that came from. And then we're going to talk about some remedies for your estate. If you, and I just want to take it, to this generalization. Barack Obama had an inauguration January 2013. And in his speech, he writes, we the people, the word people means a dead entity, still believe that our obligations as Americans are not just to ourselves, but to all posterity. All right? So you see the word posterity there, and you are one of the people to the preamble to the constitutional trust posterity. And that makes you a shareholder of the United States. So if you can understand that, that's pretty good. Now, the word, when people try to talk about the United States or other countries, and they say, well, that country is bankrupt. Well, that's on the public side, they're bankrupt. And there's two sets of books because the system is operating on a quad entry bookkeeping system. If you ever studied accounting, you're going to learn about dual entry bookkeeping. And that's just another easy way for them to hide the funds, is what's going on. And CAFR 1 does an extremely good job on breaking down the CAFR reports. But that's all on the public side of the books. My teacher, my great teachers, Jaguar, Hollywood, Gene Keating, Roger Elvick, Cindy Brewer, everybody out there who's a teacher, they've shared with me knowledge, and I can bring that present today. I've been bringing it present on my website, on Creole Harmony's website, but not enough so that we can come together as a unified consciousness to try to find out the solution. And we're in the midst of doing that at the present time. And I forgot many other teachers. I'm sorry if I did, mention their names. But basically, when you've got two sets of books, and both of them are dual entry bookkeeping, you don't know which books you're settling. On the private side, you're the creditor. On the public side, you're the debtor. And you need to know how to address each one of those books within the system, because you do have a book. If you've ever signed an application to open up a bank account, you've created a book. And you're directly tied now into the Treasury, into a Federal Reserve, and you're part of the posterity. Your energy, your labor throughout your life, your DNA, everything backs this currency. And they're making a lot of money. So when I see Obama up there, we talk about a lot of political things, but the economy is ruined because they planned it that way, all right? People are not dumb. There's inventors out there. There's great companies out there. And we're not given a chance to survive because that's the way that they program the system to be, is a complete collapse. And there's a reason for that. But on the private side, as everything is collapsing, they're doing, they're arbitraging on the collapse. So they're making money off of it. Sleeping or not sleeping, the world is making trillions. And it was back in 1993, I believe, that the DTC clears about $7 trillion a day. That's chump change compared to what the DTC has to clear in today's time. So when you think about the word bankruptcy and the fact that we're not really bankrupt, and the fact that there's CAFR reports out there that shows how much money these cities and states and counties are making, and none of it's going to the posterity of the people, all right? There's a big problem in that. And it all gets funneled, like Gene Keating would say, that the taxes that you pay would be funneled into the agriculture department. Or you could say that, a lot of the majority of the funds which creates the posterity for the people will be funneled to these other trust funds. And we're going to discuss about those funds or trusts that you're completely linked into, but you have no clue about it. Or maybe you do. This discussion about SESA Trust, SESA V Trust, is one that the sentient being, we don't call them individuals or person, but the sentient beings like you and I, man and woman, would start to investigate at the beginning of their education. And I'm sorry if I put anybody back 10 years, by talking about this. But this is a basis. So basically, when you have a SESA trust, am I able to read this definition out, Peter?
Yes. What's that?
I can read this definition of a SESA trust out, right?
That'd be great. Yeah, please do. Yeah, it's just very short, folks. This is just a definition, and you can look it up on the internet. You'll find the definition pretty much posted just about anywhere. It's I'll just spell it just so they understand. It's just folks, CESTUIQUE trust. It's a SESTQ trust. If you come close to it, it'll probably pull it up and bring you into the right portal. Anyways. Captain Jay's going to read just 4 sentences just on a little overview of what it is.
Okay, the SESA Trust by Blackwell Dictionary is he who has a right to a beneficial interest in and out of an estate, the legal title to which is vested in another. And the person who possesses the equitable right to the property, remember that word, equitable right, to the property, receives the rents, the issues, the profits thereof, and the legal estate of which is vested in a trustee. So what you've got there is equitable and legal title. And the legal estate, your legal estate, is now vested in another party called a trustee. So all beneficial interest of your estate, of this legal title, gets vested in another party, the trustee, who then has an equitable party to come in and receives all the rents and the issues and the profits. Let's say that you have a property that you decided to purchase a property. Look at your deed of trust. It says you're a tenant. Yep. You can already tell that you're inside of a trust in that instance because you don't hold the equitable right to the property. A creditor in bankruptcy can bring an equitable claim. An equitable title allows you to receive the rents and the profits. If you are just holding the legal title, however, such as a grant deed or warranty deed or a certificate to your vehicle, then you are holding the legal title for which you are the trustee, and you're now going to pay the taxes upon any transfer tax. And that's what, when you get a bill every month or every year for your legal title vehicle or your property, then that means that you're the legal title holder as a trustee. And that's why you have to pay the taxes. Everything is a tax, a bond, and a title issue. Legal, tax, and bond title issue. So we're going to get to the remedy. So don't worry about it. Just understand that you're a tenant as a legal title holder, and you don't actually own the land or the vehicle or the property. You have no rights other than the usage rights. Somebody else is going to be receiving the gain from being the equitable title holder. All right. So now we're going to move on to the Cestui Act. This had to start somewhere. And it started off with the time of the King Henry VIII in England, who created the first Cestui Act of 1540. That's the year. Then it was amended by Charles II in 1666. So when you're mentioning about the Cestui Act, which came from England, there was many times that it was amended. The most common that people mention is 1666, which Peter can post the link for you. It's on the legislation.gov.uk website. And this is a very important act because it defines what is an estate, how they're going to take your estate and take your estate to use your estate as the equitable title holder. Keep in mind that we just covered the Cestui Trust definition. So the Cestui V, I'm just going to read a portion of that act. Cestui V, remaining beyond the sea for 7 years, together with no proof of their lives. The judge in the action to direct a verdict as though the Cestui were dead. If such the person for whose life such estate have been or shall be granted, as after said, shall remain beyond the sea or elsewhere, absent themselves in the realm by the space of 7 years, together with no significant and evident proof be made of the lives of such person, respectively, in any action commencing for recovery of such tenements of the leaseors or reversioners. In every such case, the person upon whose life or lives such estate depends shall be accounted as naturally dead. And in every action brought for the recovery of such tenements by the leaseor or reversioners, their heirs and assigns, the judge before whom the action shall be brought shall direct the jury to give their verdict as if the person was so remaining beyond the seas and otherwise absent himself were dead. So he's absent. What they're saying in the Cestui Act, and I'm reading the 1666 version, is that you're declared dead after 7 years. I want to share a story because I came to this country, United States of America, as a foreigner, not born on this soil. And when my father had written up my alien file so that I could arrive in dry dock here, my vessel, my body, arrive here in the United States of America, and I was becoming a citizen of the United States of America and not of the United States. There is a difference. The United States of America citizenship application requested my parents to provide the date when I would become 18. All right? I was very young then. I wasn't 18 yet, but they wanted to know the date when I would become 18. And of course, as parents, you think, oh, well, they become lawful, they can get out of the house, they're not going to be pestering me anymore. But actually, no, that's not. And why that 18 years of age ties into this SKV Act is because the time when you're 18 plus 7 years, in that realm, is when you should become no longer dead and lost at sea, that you can come back and claim your estate. So those who are born in this country, it's the same thing goes. When you become 18, and then you plus 7 years from that time frame. Within that time frame of 7 years, you need to come back no longer dead and lost at sea, so you can come and claim your estate. Otherwise, you're becoming declared naturally dead. Now, I know that some people would say that you're already dead when you're born, that the birth hospital gave you a birth certificate, and for which is considered a landed estate, and for which is the will for the decedent. Now, you have, I said, beginning, that you have different accounts floating out there. Then Cindy Brewer brought up that it's a title plan, and I just recently released that audio call with Gene Keating, myself, and Cindy Brewer. And she calls it a title plan. That's the manipulation of your name, first, middle, and last name. And most people already know that when they check their driver's license, that they notice that their name is spelled in all capital letters. That's one vessel name. And when you have a different account, they may call your first, middle name differently in its, placement, and your last name in its separate placement. Those are creating different accounts for which you could be named as a beneficiary of a certain trust that you haven't yet claimed yet. But we do know one thing, is that the all capital name, I think it's Maximus Capitis.
Right.
I could be wrong about that, but it doesn't leave any room for any rights whatsoever. And we know that when we're born in this lifetime, that we're given by God inalienable rights. And that for some reason, we got into a jurisdiction called District of Columbia, or a federal jurisdiction wherever you may be on this planet, that separate you from your inalienable right and giving you rights that they confer upon you as a citizen. And Hollywood would say, the most beautiful thing, he would say that you're a citizenship. And he breaks down that word. He would say you're a citizen upon their ship. It makes all the more sense. And Peter is from the Navy, right, Peter?
Aye, Captain. Yes, I have 10 years. Seagoing swabby.
Right, and he can tell you that when you're on somebody's ship, that there's etiquette and there's rules that you must follow. And it's not your rules of engagement, but it is whatever that vessel dictates. And when you come upon a ship, or when you get off a ship, they may ask you to say such things as permission to come on board, right?
Yep.
And when you get off the ship, there's formalities to get off the ship. It's the same thing when you're a citizenship and you're on their ship. If there's a formality for you to go through if you want to become a national. and gain a little bit more rights. And those who are Moors or those who come from various different Indian nations, they have the most rights. You know, their rights are protected beyond treaties that was created by the governments that we know of today. And we got, you know, other people would say such that we haven't had a real government in the United States since 200 years ago. Well, we haven't had a real government on this planet for a very long, long time, since the Gregorian calendar, so to say, when they changed around and they created a new religion called Christianity. And from that, we gain what is known today as the Vatican, the Holy See. And the word that they say in the Vatican of the Holy See is the word S-E-E, which my friend pointed out that is a word in the Bible.
Yep.
And it's not the C, S-E-A, but it's the word S-E-E. So C can be defined as the sea of consciousness, the sea that we have not awakened to our true divinity under God and that we must bow down to another man's laws. So at the highest level of this commerce game, Admiralty and the sea is what we know of as spiritual or conscious law that dictates everything, the universal law, so to say.
Yep.
That is our highest law. We're already born with that. We don't need somebody to tell us that we cannot kill another man or that we shall not steal. We don't need a religion or anybody to write that down for us. It is ingrained in us when we're born. So
are they using the word see as in your mind?
The Holy See means, yes, the Holy See, like for example, a lot of people would say, you know, don't use the mark of the beast is 666. Well, 666 is nothing other than, in the Roman Catholic religion, they call it, in the English terminology, they say, blessed is Peter. Peter, you're blessed. But blessed is Peter, the Son of God on earth, the Vicra Son of God on earth. And a portion of that sentence is translated to Latin, which states, Vicra Filii Dei. And Vicra Filii Dei is the Son of God on earth. And Vicra Filii Dei is a mathematical code that when you break it down, it becomes 666. Now, Cindy Brewer has the code of 666 within her DNA. And understand again, that is not a negative terminology, but that is the source code of man in the DNA, as she has it from the Byzantium tribe. Well, if you don't have that mark of DNA, you are going to be marked with the mark of the beast, which is to them the chip. All right, everybody's like freaking out about the chip. Well, they're moving towards that because they want to be able to chip everybody if you don't have their source DNA code. And, you know, you can listen to Cindy Brewer. We have a special section just for her on our website, and understand that the DNA under the blood bank of HR 3474 is a source for this United States currency. Not your birth certificate, not your Social Security trust account, but it's actually your blood. So he who claims his blood, he who knows the divinity of God, which is to know no other law other than God's creation's law, does not need to have a Vicra Filii Dei, which is the Pope. The Pope's title at the Vatican is Vicra Filii Dei. He claims to be the Son of God to inherit that which is in the earth realm. That's why your estate is escheat to the Crown of England, to the Vatican Holy See. Not only escheat to, you know, the executor of your estate, which is not only Barack Obama, currently as the president, under HR 3474. So that's who we're dealing with, and it is a massive problem because nobody here is awake and aware to recreate the system the way that it should be. A lot of people just get out. What do I mean by get out? They mean that they leave the ship. They don't need to have citizenship. They become a part of another nation to no longer deal with this because it is such a massive issue. Now, how does this affect you in your everyday life? Well, number one, you're dead. Number two, you're a slave on the plantation. Number three, we don't have a real government. We have corporations running, the banking cartel is running this country. And I have case laws to support that the IRS is not a part of the government at all, but it's actually incorporated within Puerto Rico and is a foreign jurisdiction corporation. And then you've got the Regal Act of 1994, which is H.R. 3474, breaks down everything under the sun as according to our laws, affects everything, including contract law. So we're facing a mammoth time, and that's why I'm on this call, because the more everybody is awake and aware, the more we can start talking about what are the real issues of our time instead of watching, whatever that's on TV to keep our minds preoccupied. I mean, people, if they read the inauguration, that there's always hidden messages with these world leaders' speeches, and they're trying to define their next move. Obama mentions stuff like, the weather control. Well, if there wasn't for HAARP, we wouldn't have weather problems. If there wasn't for chemtrails, we wouldn't have weather problems. Come on now. It's problems, reaction, solution, and it's getting real old. And I'm here to say this is the change of our times. The consciousness is rising. Why don't we all get on board? But before we could do that, let us understand, number one, that the Sussex v. Act of 1666 at 1540 created you civilly dead after the 7 years from the time of your 18th birthday. Now, what happens when a person dies? They get an estate. Well, you already had an estate when you were born, but this is the time to come and loot and plunder, which is why I like to use the terminology of being on a vessel. And I use the terminology as a captain of the vessel because I'm operating this vessel, and I need to know who is coming in, and they actually call it pirating, right? There's a U.S. code called pirating under 18 U.S.C. So
hey,
here,
I'm just going to interrupt you for. We went about 7 minutes over on break. We just do these little quick short ones so everybody can maybe go refresh their coffee or whatever, and we'll be right back. And your brother John, I think, is waiting in the wings as well if you want to bring him in after the break. Welcome back, folks, to In the Spirit of Things, and with my special guest, Captain Jade, who is enlightening us how to get off the good ship Lollipop. Anyways, just trying to give everybody a little direction of flow once this stuff started, and she's really putting forth some outstanding information effectively with hopefully a little bit of clarity. So everybody can understand whence it all started, and we're going to integrate her back into the conversation and carry on where we left off. And I think we did have her friend John. Brother John, are you on the line, or are you unmuted?
I'm here. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
I can hear you fine.
That's John. Hey, John.
Hey, Jade, how you doing?
Cool.
Great.
And glad to have you, brother. We like to mix it up a little bit, and we like all perspectives to bring, especially the hidden onion, or peeling back the layers of the onion and bring the truth forward on a different level so everybody can sort of have a little direction of flow on how we can move forward. And I thank you for coming.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
Thanks for coming, guys. Anyway,
do we have Hollywood
I
here
got
too?
Hollywood. Yeah, I got Hollywood on the line. Not sure if he made it through, but hey, Hollywood, can you say something?
I can, Captain. How you doing?
Awesome. Thanks for coming aboard.
Yeah, thanks
Brother
for
Mark,
having me.
How you doing, Brother Mark? Long time no talk to you. I Skype you every now and then, and it's all good. Yeah, I was getting my flu shots.
Yeah, how you doing, Pete?
I'm moving the train forward, brother. Trying to get everybody out the station.
Right on, right on. Well, that's cool. It sure sounds like it.
Yep. Thank you for coming on board. We're going to take this ship to shore and put it in permanent dry dock for some mothballs. That's the goal, anyways.
Nice. Well, I burnt my ship. Well, actually, their ship, I burnt it to the ground. Yeah. I said, there, you want to deal with the debt in Canada? And I said, there, he's dead. I redeemed myself just like Christ. Man, here I am. I'm alive and well, thanks.
Outstanding. I love it. Yeah, Captain Jade is bringing everybody ashore a little bit today.
Hollywood, do you want to announce the Indian nation that you're from?
Oh, okay. Yeah, if anybody's listening, basically I'm the diplomatic linguistics advisor to the sovereign Squamish government here in Canada.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Captain Jade, I guess we can pick up where you left off and integrate a little further into this SQV as we were moving forward. You were so succinctly explaining, and I'd like you to carry the ball a little further if you could.
Yeah, so the second part of the SQV Act of Section 4 is when you become back alive and the title is revested back to you, and that means that all profits and interest shall be returned to you. So if you can read the Section 4 of the SQV Act, that would cure those who have foreclosures, who are being evicted. There's actually a statement there that during the time of your eviction off of your land, if you become alive again, then you get to enjoy and live on your land for the duration of your life. All right? So we're dealing here with title, estate, trust, your DNA that's backing the currency, and all of your goods or your cargoes on your vessel. I tend to switch between admiralty terminology and estate law, so they're all interlinked. You could say that the Chancery Court, which stemmed from the church, is the ecclesiastical side, and that also gave rise to admiralty, which is contract law. The law of the sea governs over contract law. So if you don't have a contract with somebody, or if they breached the contract, you can rewrite the contract, you could get out of the contract. So that you're dealing with admiralty law there. And ecclesiastical law is the chancery side, and it can deal with the equitable title if you come back alive again. Now, a lot of people are scratching their head and saying, I'm not dead. You may not be dead, buddy, but your vessel is dead. And when I say vessel, I mean the Social Security that is attached to you, that was created when you were born. Within the IRS system, and Gene Keating turned me on to this, and also Boris did a wonderful show on IRS decedent status. Gene Keating states that the Social Security, the IRS is there to collect a death index. And that is so that your social being deceased, they're going to change all this around. As soon as I say this on the air, they're going to go back to their books and they don't call it decedent anymore. We don't want to call it that. You know, this is always what they do. They listen to these radio calls and they figure out what the people know, and then they go back and rewrite their laws and their books, their codes and their statutes. So basically,
let's move the goalposts. Yeah, they always move the goalposts.
Right. So when you know that the IRS is collecting a death index, that's for you, your estate, so that they can loot and plunder while you're dead. You can't come back and claim nothing. That's the reason why they have a death index. In addition to that, the reason why is because everything is a TOD. And a TOD just means that it's a transfer on death tax. Because I told you earlier, everything's a title, a tax issue, and a bond issue. Title, tax, and a bond. Is there an acronym for that? Title, tax, and a bond. title taxes and bonds, TTB. All right. So TTB, title taxes and bonds, you want to, dump a bomb on them, then you would be dealing with the fact that you're no longer deceased. And how we knew that was Judy actually picked up on the call Boris did, walked into the IRS office, pulled out her social, said, I want you to look up my social. A lot of people have been asking, is there any remedy to what Boris said and what's the outcome of what he did? Well, we have firsthand knowledge of a friend going into the IRS building saying, could you check on your system for my Social Security and could you tell me whether or not it's dead, deceased, is what they actually call it. And the IRS officer said, yes, you are listed as deceased. And they were even scratching their head. At which point my friend said, well, can I get a printout of that? Of course not. You can't get a printout of that. That's blasphemy. So they're not going to tell you that, but they're going to confirm. And that's why I did a FOIA request for the IRS IMF audit. Under 5 U.S.C. 552, that's FOIA. And there's other sections of 552 where you can provide your social, your name, and you can just ask them if this is a decedent within their system of the IRS. Now, when you have such evidence, if they don't want to provide that to you, you're going to have to sue them for that information because that's really the crux of the matter is that you're deceased. And once it's deceased, it means that it's a testamentary trust. It's being probated. We already know that we're deceased, but you want the proof. Then go get the proof in the pudding because they're definitely not going to fork over a death certificate for you. Now, the Social Security Administration decided to create what is called a DMF, and they also create a death index as well. So under the death master file is A-06-08-18042. And that's the publication that talks about the Social Security death for your Social Security number as being dead. And you can request that from the Office of Inspector General for the Social Security Administration. You could do that via a FOIA request, Freedom of Information Act, and find out if you're dead.
Yep.
So one of the most interesting things about finding out that you're dead is that, well, first of all the court cases, you could just say, hey, you don't have the jurisdiction here. I need to move this to probate. And you need to call up the executor, Obama, to come down here to this case, right? Because under the 3474, HR 3474, Obama or the President of the United States is going to be the executor of the estate. So there may be a breach of estate. The second thing is what Gene Keating taught me is that if a deceased entity was at closing, when you buy a house, you could never transfer title because you're dead. So there was never any delivery and there was never any confirmation. And under the dead man statute, a dead man cannot be a witness. So you can also revoke certain contracts because of the fact that you knew that you were dead at the time of the closing. You could have not entered into contract. That would have been the duty of either the beneficiary or the executor to do. So the other thing that you realize by that point that you're dead is that you'd have to have an estate. And we know from just viewing the fact that you're a deceased entity, because I proved it to you in the IRS and in the Social Security Administration, that they're collecting a death index.
Can I interject something? It's listed in all 50 states. I happen to, because I was interested in this revocation of death, or this, because they have a subheading in Virginia codes. I started perusing through fiduciaries, this, that, and the other thing, and pretty much in all 50 states, they have the classification of you in this capacity parallel to what you're speaking of on the SESQV, and it's in their codes in all 50 states. So I just wanted to share that because I have the capacity to actually go look. So just wanted to share that with my brothers and sisters to verify.
You found out that what did you find out?
Revocation of death. They've got everybody considered as dead in all 50 states and all counties and the municipalities if you look up the codes.
All right, but here's the thing, is that I want to be dead. I know that, see, when people get confused because they merge everything into one entity, but it's really the vessel whose name in all capital or the estate name that's dead. It's not actually you that's dead. You can play the role of general executor. You can play the role of a live beneficiary or legal heir that estate.
Right,
so,
you just don't want to be the trustee.
You just don't want to be the trustee because that's what the dead man's for, to pay for the taxes. And that's what you have. You have us down, our estate down, as a surety for all of the insurance wraps that they do. Why do they do the insurance wrap on everything, on their bonds and how they're trading our accounts? Is because the live man can walk through the door at any time as the live sentient heir beneficiary to his estate. And they want to cover the investors in that instance that happens. And they do have plans to do that. They already did it. You know, every county who sells municipality bonds tied into the agriculture ties directly into your estate funds for which they're looting and plundering as a pirate. Admiralty law just gives them the right to do that legally, is loot and plunder. So when you control the estate and you control the DNA and you bow down to no other law other than God's law as the live sentient heir to God's kingdom and live sentient heir to this earth, then you have now control, not the Vatican, not the Queen. You rebut all those presumptions. You rebut the H.R. 3474, which is international because it was signed internationally in the court, international courts. It affects everything under the sun on this planet.
And did not the Bible say that ye are gods, and may Christ be in you and also in you? Lift up your hearts.
Yep. Beautiful.
Okay. So the Crown, the Corporation. Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, I just wanted to cover one thing. It's ironic because everybody likes to stick on the Constitution and stuff, and folks, we have treaties. The UPU supersedes, these treaties supersede the constitutions and all this other stuff, so everybody who gets stuck on being this sovereign citizenship, not a good idea. Matter of fact, that's why I tell everybody to divest themselves of the body politic, which is a simple administrative process of terminating the so-called ties that bind. But just thought I'd throw that in there. It's all about treaties and just like what you're speaking of, so most people are totally unaware of that.
Yeah, a lot of people play it that way where they don't want to have anything to do with the system. Actually, I have been taught by my teacher, Jaguar, to be in and a part of the system because the system doesn't eat its own creation. And that's just one arm. Because you are many arms, you can play in their realm. You can have another set of books that are not in their realm. For example, an estate that is a foreign estate that you take control in a different country that has nothing to do with the United States of America, then that is a foreign jurisdiction which there is no taxes, and if you are a private entity, then there's no generation skip transfer tax once the trust res is transferred into that foreign estate. So that's another possibility. And if you want to know why they are allowed to do all those things, is because they control the name from the very beginning, and they have appointed their own beneficiaries in your trust estates. So the name itself is a trust, and it also creates a estate. For every application that you've ever applied for, whether that be a banking application or a car loan or a mortgage loan or whatever, then you gave your property over to somebody else just by default because you did what is called a general deposit at closing for your instrument, your signature, and your goods. And in that instance, all of your possession got transferred over to the party who was issuing that account. And therefore, you should do a special deposit from now on if you go to a bank and you deposit something, or you deposit a check, or you deposit a or when you give your signature on an application, you want to write on there special deposit. And it changes the whole mindset. And the reason why is because you can come back for your goods. So when you're declared dead, and when you're declared dead and you're lost at sea under the Cessna KV Act, in the original shipwreck discussion on Admiralty, they had discussed in the time of King James, I think, King Henry II. They said that any shipwreck from a dead owner whose cargo went overboard would be claimed and escheat to the Lord and the King at that time. So imagine all your property is on a boat, is on a ship, and your cargo is gone overboard because, there was a crash or something, and you were declared dead, all right? Imagine that in the context of your estate as being the vessel, your name, estate being the vessel. All your goods, your body, your DNA, your signature, your assets for your trust res, everything is the cargo going overboard, and you're declared dead owner. In those days, because the property could be a sheet to the Lord or the King, they just take it. They would allow you to come back, if you were alive as the owner, to claim your property within 1 year, 1 day. If the cargo made it to land in dry dock, the sheriff could take the property, sell the property, keep the assets or the funds in reserve for the owner to return in 1 year, 1 day, or his executor, or his administrator, or his heirs, or his assigns could come and claim that money or that property. What they do is they call it a salvage claim. When you're dead, they do a salvage claim, insurance wrap on it to protect their investors, and then they take that insurance after you're dead, and they take your property as well. So that's what they call it, a salvage claim. And that's what you need to do an in rem forfeiture proceeding on the heirs and omission insurance and on the goods that went overboard, such as the cargo. Wow, that was a mouthful, I know. So,
on that, good.
Go ahead, sir.
On that note, we're going to sort of probably go to a quick break because we sort of ran into, we're going to run aground, and we're going to come right back. This is beautiful stuff. Captain Jay, you are really enlightening the world. This is a beautiful thing. So everybody hang tight. Go get a quick one, whatever, smoke, drink, bathroom call. We'll be right back. Thank you, folks. Coming back in the spirit of things, we got Captain Jade at the helm, running the ship around, at least trying like it.
I'm not sure if you're able to add my teacher Jaguar to the call.
I sure can. Let me get the prefix because you gave it to me earlier, and I will go ahead and give my producer a heads up. But carry on, and folks, we're coming to the second hour of some beautiful information. Join the call, and we're glad you're here. Go ahead, Jade.
Okay, so I was finishing up here on the last segment, and when my teacher had wrote in that you're not, let's see here, you have a testamentary trust, the Crown automatically becomes the beneficiary that caused the deposit for the testamentary trust. And that's a will and a testament. And it doesn't mean that you're actually dead underneath the IRS manual, but, on paper you're dead, or your Social Security creates the dead entity, which you can correct, but that's not our purpose here. Our purpose is to unravel whether or not our social entity estate is dead within the system. And then we have what is called a testamentary trust. And a testamentary trust is one which is created within a will and executed with the formalities required of a will, in contrast to an inter vivos trust. An inter vivos or a living trust would be one that is active during the lifetime of the grantor, donor, settlor, and it's activated during that time, versus a testamentary trust would require deceased status before it is formally created with the will. So the purpose of doing all of this is to unravel that there is a trust. And in a trust scenario, there is a settlor or donor or grantor. There's a trustee and there's a beneficiary. My other friend John had broken down these various different branches of the government, such as the executive, legislative, and judicial branch, each one of them representing a different party. We've already said that underneath the Regal Act of 1994, H.R. 3474, that the executor over the estate is the president. And you can say that the legislative branch would be the trustee and the judicial branch the administrator. And then, at your state level, you have executors as the executive branch, the legislative as the trustee, the judicial as the administrative, and, on down to your city. So when identifying the party who you need to be discussing matters with, you want to identify the trustee or the executor. Let's say if you want to say the mayor of your town is the executor, the city council may be the trustee, and the county municipal court may be the administrator, and the private man, you, being the spoiled owner, and is not a party to the trust or corporation as some may see it. As all parties who are using the title deeds and also your estate would be considered the usufructuary or usufructor, who's using that without any benefit to you. There's usufructuary, etc. So they're using that property without any benefit to you. And one could also have a remedy by coming in to say that one is now merging the equitable and legal title of their estate, thereby collapsing the trust, and no longer, if one is mature or of the age of maturity, to be able to receive their trust res corpus to be returned to them. And as that note, that's pretty much it. So after you read my website, you can go in to research the H.R. 3474. You can create a trust and a will. You can re-register yourself, your name, corporation, or estate name in the city level as a business, a trademark upon your name estate so that now you control it in commerce. That's your vessel. And that's pretty much it. So, I didn't even get to the tombstone part. Yes. All right. So when people say that their birth certificate was a certificate of a stock, that's correct. When you are born, a tombstone is created in your name and a stock is issued. When you go to something that you want to put in the newspaper, they usually box it around in a solid box line around your public notice. For example, a stock that is going IPO would have a box around it. A person who's deceased would have to be notified in the newspaper as well, or an executor being the first issue. That's what we mean by the first stock issue. It's considered by its term in the newspaper a tombstone. So when you have a birth certificate, you're holding on to the deceased estate will and testament. And when you have the need to come back for your stock certificate, which is really a bond, which is really a mutual fund, more likely on Fidelity, that, yes, your birth certificate is traded, big deal. So is every negotiable instrument out there. So what? But what it is it's human slavery at its best, and it's also now tapping into your DNA as another form of currency manipulation, currency creation, and the backing of our currency, because that's more valuable than gold. And in the Eisenhower administration was when they created the Alien Trade Pact so that they can collect the special DNA, and for Cindy Brewer being one of them because she has the death resistor code within her DNA so she can't die. And there's other people who have, they're called immortals because they can't die, So it comes a time like this time that we know of these things. We must do something, and in these times, we are going to do something. I'm asking everybody who is interested in the formation of, a corporate takeover of this great nation to wake up and to be of assistance. You can email us on our website if you have something special that you'd like to add to the mix or want to contribute through your energy. That would be great. We invite everybody who has a consciousness who would like to see a positive effect happen to assist us in regaining 2/3 of the world economy. And I say that because Cindy Brewer's DNA is backing 2/3 of the world economy, and we've done extensive research on that. We know that it's real. They're cloning her. They're going to clone everybody if we don't help it, So, one option is to get the hell off their ship, not be worry about what they're doing and all that. Another way is to play within their system and to get things done for the benefit of this great world that we live in.
Yep. I think Jaguar might have showed up on the scene. Brother Jaguar, you in the loop?
Possibly. Can anybody hear me?
We can hear you now, brother. Come on in. The water's fine.
There you go. Well, Peter, it's congratulations. The phone lines are working today. Thank you very much. Thank you, Captain Jade. We got an all clear at this end. That's surprising.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad to have you.
I know you have my great teacher here is on the line, so I feel very blessed. Jaguar, why don't you share what you think about the deceased, the state, and whatnot?
Oh, gee. Okay, was it back to the time frame? First of all, I want to thank everybody for listening. Peter, I want to thank you for giving Jade the opportunity to have me on here. And Peter, just so you know, your name I never really heard of until the last 4 days, and you showed up like a dozen different directions. So we might have a few things in common. We might.
Maybe.
Yeah, Hollywood sent his hello. He's on the call as well. He wants to say hello to Jack. So, want to say hello, Hollywood?
Hey, Hollywood.
Sure. Hey, Jaguar, how you doing?
Oh, good. We're having fun playing politicians, and the girls are teaching me slowly but surely how to do blogs and upload things to the internet. So it's coming along pretty good. For everybody else who wonders what this is going on, I am unquote, a genuine politician. That's right. A politician. I'm one of the feared people. I actually belong to government. So we came up with this wacky idea 9 years ago that what we should do is become government within government. So we formed a registered political party 9 years ago in the province of British Columbia, and our platform is quite simplistic. We only want to know 4 things: your oaths and or elected by appointments. We want to know your bonds. We want to know your insurance details, and we want to know your reinsurance details. That's all we want to know. And we've been collecting this pretty much for 9 years. Prior to that, I did professional investigations at more or less the same level. So that's what we do. We decided to go in the box where we are a legitimate party. We collect everybody else's paperwork, and we're in constant communications with ministry members because we tell them that even though we're little guys, I can still read. If I could produce an error emission with the current elect government, I have the opportunity as the unelected government to challenge them seat for seat. So that's our approach to the dead man's estate. We understand it's dead man's estate. From what we understand in Canada, the Canadian government would like you to fill out 8 forms in a very specific order. They really would like your will, and they really would like your trust. You then do 2 of these. This is all like real short, condensed here. So you do 8 sets of forms. They do want your will. They do want your trust. Now here's the cute part. You need 2 of these. You need one so you can go in and open up an account within the current banking system, and you need another one. With the other one, if you're able to learn the lingo, you can actually make applications so that trust becomes your bank. So that's the far end of the spectrum. So we've taken a totally different approach to how to handle the dead man's estate. Here's a simple little trick for everybody. It works really, really well. So Jade was telling you about the Sesquivet Trust. Here's something that's very impressive. We know the Queen appreciates it. Order it up from the United Kingdom. Actually, go on there and go to that website and order up. Tell them you want to buy one of those. Absolutely, buy one. Now remember, this is the most important part. Keep your receipt. Get that over to you. Keep the receipt, even if it's a credit card receipt. Now go down and get it notarized. When you get it notarized, make sure you put registered mail marker on it, and at the top, add special deposit. So the notary knows this. And then go mail it back to yourself. When you get it back to yourself, make a true and certified copy and go over to your local church and tell them under command of the estate, you're to enter into a public-private partnership with the local ecclesiastical members, the archdiocese, and would you please kindly certify the second copy for us? They will. Now you own the Sesquivet Act. It's yours. It is your estate, lock, stock, and barrel. So with Peter, I'll leave that little tip on the ground and see what the reaction is.
Yeah. This is, very interesting. You and I got to get up, brother, because, I like you taking me to the deep side of the pond on this information, because I'm aware of a lot of this stuff, but nobody's really integrating the information where the collective mindset, our community is coming together and going to ground. So, I would definitely like to get up with you after the show. Maybe Captain Jade could open the door. So,
absolutely. Absolutely, Peter. I would love to go show you what the other end of the pond looks like, and we got there through the same doorway. All we're doing is asking for paperwork, 4 specific kinds. That's it. And once you've got that, you own the rest of it. Now, what we do up here is let's go back to basics. Let's go back to basics really quick here. Back to basics. When it comes to the wonderful world of legal and financial systems, we have 4 categories of information, 5 categories of information. First category is what we call style. Then we have form, then we have format, then we have process, then we have procedure. Everything works like that. The number one to keep in mind here for the writers is make it a point every time you address yourself to something or somebody in the system, make sure real clear that you put down that you are non-adverse. You are non-belligerent. You're non-combatant. Pick any one of those, because the entire system declares you not only dead, but they also declare that you are an adverse party. So if you make the declaration that you're not adverse, you now have, in the world of trusts, estates, and admiralty, you now own superior position on the ground floor. So when you move through, as long as everybody knows in advance through your paperwork you're non-adverse. Now, this does not mean you walk in peace. It does not mean that. It means you're not at war. So use this as a visual. Use this as a visual. Why are you not at war? Because you're walking around with a set of guns that nobody's ever seen before. And you're just letting everybody know I'm not at war because, you're not even my competition. If I even have to unholster, you're already done. So that's why I'm not at war. I'm kind of like on holidays. But if you ever want to get into a shit-kicking fight, look in my direction. Happy to help you out if you need to, but we're not at war. That's the important thing that the accountants need to hear. You're not at war. So that is something we found works exceptionally well in written and oral communications. Tell them I'm not at war, but you are being a bit belligerent. So that's...
so you're staying on the positive side of the Libra Code as not an enemy of the state.
Yeah. Well, Jaguar, what you're saying parallels exactly with what I've been saying for some time now. So like I said, you and I got to get up. We'll compare notes. This will be a beautiful thing because, all this belligerent going to war stuff, because that's what they look at. All these people leaning them up and doing this and doing that, and they're just creating an adversarial position, and they're going to beat your brakes off one way or the other, whether that's trumped up charges or whatever. I see people get bind up all the time. Hey, brother, I'm going to ground. I'm in a capacity where, I'm not about the adversarial. However, it doesn't mean that I'm a lay down, but I'm understanding what capacity I'm operating in, and that's the mindset that we need to get everybody on the page on.
Oh yeah, exactly. One of the things I found, because this is an area, Peter, that has extremely high emotional volatile charges in it, the easiest way I found to keep ground floor, on the floor, in the paper, on the phone, is if you tell them you're non-adverse, they'll kind of figure it out right away, because the only thing you know how to talk about is the account. That's all you're asking about, the account. You keep bringing them right back to the account, right back to the account, right back to the account. And the way that we do it up here is we simply let everybody on the ground floor that we run into, it's about them getting a better payday. Have you ever heard of surplus funds? Did you get the memo from the Sheriff's Department? You didn't. Well, we're the group that's talking to the Sheriff's Department. If you go over here to the surplus funds, you can go to $85K a year, no income tax loan instead of $56. We're the good guys. We're here to help you because you're managing my estate.
Yep.
Do you want to talk to me now? Yeah. Well, you have an estate? Well, let's not talk about that part. Let's talk about your payday. Okay, you're humping the hood here, getting 56. That's bullshit. You can get 85. It's on the books. You got a smartphone? You do have a smartphone. Here, go to City Hall. Go to that page. Oh, go to this thing. It's called the Financial Annuals. Go there. Go here. Go to this page. Look there. That's your money, dude. That's yours. I know how to get it for you. You want to help me? And that's what we're doing up here. Rather than going and beating my head that you're an asshole fucking with my trust, we go in there and say, hey, guess what? I woke up this morning and I found out I'm a trust baby. Now, anyways, my client needs you to understand something. It's about you, and it's about your money, and it's right here. And these are the people who have it. And you need me to help you go get it because I want you to have it because you're doing a damn good job looking after us, and the people above you are just squeezing you. And you need to get rid of this mid-bureaucratic bullshit that's chomping you down. You need to do your job the right way. We talk to cops this way. We talk to sheriffs this way. We talk to most ministry officials that way. It's all about them freeing up the funds that are sitting over in surplus, and they're locked. They can't get to them because they're tied up in the estate. You need a beneficiary. That'd be me. I'll help you. All you have to do is one time on paper acknowledge I am who I am. I'm an inheritor. And then poof. You've got $7 trillion. In this province alone, they have $7 trillion sitting on the tap that they can't get into. And what we're encouraging them to do is you need to open up the tap. Now, we have a different perspective. We don't think it's an evil, rotten system that's out to kill us and bloodsuck us. We understand there's a system that's in huge default. We also understand there's a lot of people working their asses off to make it better. I talk to a lot of industry people. I talk to people within the Auditor General's office. I talk to people in risk management offices. I talk to people in legal departments. I talk to people in administrative courthouses. I talk to the people who are trying to fix the system.
Wow.
And they understand they got rat bugs. They get it. They friggin' get it. They got old boy clubs who've taken over and they are starting to launch a purge, but they need everybody on the ground floor to give them what they're looking for. Give them a reason. Don't give us names. We don't want names. Names are no good for us. What we want are institutions. Anything that's going on in your hood, doesn't matter where it came from, if there's a situation about a bill or deficit or public liability, you take whatever that is, sign it, notarize it, stamp it, take it down to your local risk management, and let them deal with it. They are the payday people at ground floor. They're the ones that control the linchpin because those municipal bonds do not get out to the market until they put their yes on it. And the moment anything that happens comes back to them from one of their investors, they'll close it down. You make it easy for them. You tell them that inside their own insurance policies, there is an A, a B, and a C. 5,000 per head, 10,000 per head, 25,000 per head. It's the misfeasance bond. That opens up the door to reinsurance so you can open up the slush fund and clean out the old boys club and remove them from their hands on the lot. That's how we do it. That's how we maneuver throughout the neighborhood. We actually got to talk to people in government. That's how come I have some of these tidbits here for you. So we do know that you can do these things. Have we actually done all of them? Not everybody in the group. I'm like 7/8 up the ladder. We got a couple guys in front, couple guys behind. All of us develop different ways, but this is what we do. We collect their paperwork under the disguise of a political party. Then we turn around, notarize it as assets for our estate, ship it off to risk management for their stamp, ship it up what you would call the state level for their risk management stamp, and then what we do is we ship it off to England, the Queen Mummy, so she can stamp it and send it back. So that way when we go to the federal government of Canada and give them their directive instructus, they don't really say anything except listen, because we've already got it stamped by the Queen. She says it's the land of the state. She says it's ours to manage. She says you work for us now. So that's where we're at. So hopefully you'll take that as a sign that things can work. We've taken a totally unique approach to this. We decided to become the system, to get in the system, to make the system work. And the great thing is it's election season in 4 months for us. So we're talking to all the various risk management people. Said, do you really want us to tell everybody what we know? Or do you want to actually finally sit down and actually do something with our states? Because if you don't, we will tell the general public right now really what the issue of bonds are in British Columbia. And I think they'll be really happy to hear it from us. So it's kind of a negotiation field is where we're at. But that's where we're at. And thanks very much. I'm going to yield the floor now. Otherwise, I'll talk for the weekend.
I'll get up with Jade, and I'm sure she can in a great communication with you and I, because, yeah, brother, I want to go to the deeper end of the pond. I love talking about this stuff, and hey, this is we're just trying to share the love, correct?
Yeah. Jade, make sure that you text me Peter's number, and then we'll see if we can get a phone call going after the show here. But yeah, Peter, I'm sure you'd be interested in some of the back end stuff that we got going. I really am sure you would. But I wanted to say thank you very much, Jade, for giving me an opportunity to talk my political, it's okay speech. And thanks everybody for listening. Hollywood, been hearing lots about you. John, to you too. And honestly, everybody on this call, there's 8 different ways that I'm aware of that an organization can achieve the end means. What you just heard in my little pitch here today is one very unique way, but it is a way. And the idea is to share the love. We can combine a lot of strategies. A lot of things that we do specifically are adaptable by everybody. Specific items be a little tough. It really is easier to do it as a political party, but just about everything else you can duplicate. The only thing that makes us different, the only thing that we can do as an organization that no other group can do, is that because we're inside, when we step in, go to the Auditor General and tell them the fucking judges are not letting us take a look at the books, Auditor General will step in for us. That's what we're working. We're walking towards the Auditor General because for 9 years in a row, the judiciary is giving me the same fuck you message every day, all day, and they keep telling I ain't asking. I am telling you, I am the guy on the other side of the fence that wants your seat, and I can get it by proving one thing. You want to show me your books? Great. Would you like to say that one more time, please? But this time I want you to say it in front of the Auditor General. You got the cojones for that? Oh, you do? Great. Go ahead. Oh, no, I still don't get the books. Thank you. Now I have a reason to go to the Auditor General, tell them election season's coming up, and I need their books. Budget season's in 2 months. I need those books. So that's where we're at. If we're going to play a little tougher in the ball game, this is what we're doing. We're talking to the Auditor General. We've talked to what is called up here the Chief Electoral Officer. That's the guy who gives us the power. And we've already told their crews that we want to do a head-on. We do. We want to do a train crash. We want to just give her. Under the law, we can do it, a head-on. One time only, head-on. We want to go for it.
Cool. I love it. Hey, you're living where I'm living. So, hey, I'm going to go to a break here in a second, but stand fast if you want to coast out the hour with us, brother, and integrate further conversation, because this is where we live, and we love sharing the truth and just bringing some beautiful stuff forward, which you're bringing forward today. And Yeah, we're sort of paralleling you over here in U.S. Inc., but like I said, we need to compare notes and all come together as a collective unit, and based on that, I'd be happy to have you back in a couple minutes if after the song, if you want to come back in, and we'll just dialogue a little bit.
Okay, well, I'll stay here, and I'll...
I thought you would enjoy my teacher, Jaguar, speaking, because he really knows the system in and out, and I'm just blessed to have learned a lot from him. And for him to come on, wow, you guys, you know, it's a special treat today. And this may go above a lot of people, those who normally don't follow trust law or, are living common lives. This is all just brand new. And, yes, it does affect all of us, Like Jaguar was saying in regards to the insurance and reinsurance, every item of application that we do for our loans or anything, whether that be a bond within the system that they've created for us in the agriculture department, with the treasury, with our county, carries it with an insurance wrap. And there's reinsurance as well on that. So you can have a claim for the errors and omission if they fail to produce the books. And that's really why you want to ask for their bonds, their license, their insurance, and their reinsurance. We mean those who are pretending to be in government, such as the Director of Finance at the county, the Comptroller of the state, the Treasury of the United States, the Federal Reserve Board, whoever. If they have a bond, license, insurance, and reinsurance, you want to know about it because you're coming in for the forfeiture proceeding, the errors and omissions on the insurance for their lies and their deceit for not returning your goods, which is your estate, trust, res, corpus, interest thereon from their stock investment trades.
Yep. Well, it's sort of I've been cracking the nut over on this side of the fence, and now we just went to another level in short order. Because that's what I've been saying. It's all, you got the Miller Reinsurance bonds. You got all the bonds. It's all one big bonding event and insurances, tontine policies, LLC, limited liability corporation, and like I say, if we can get some direction of flow to move off the so-called plantation, then that's where we need to go. Because otherwise, every man, woman, and child is going to have their estate exhausted until there's nothing left, or basically. They're, like I say, it's just lots of layers of the onions, and they've been keeping it from us. So it's beautiful how this collective mindset has just come together today. This has been an excellent show. Jade, you've done an extremely good job of bringing forward some really, really good, simple to understand, for the most part, concepts. And Brother Jaguar, we are really happy to have you here. Hey, we're looking to grow, folks. We're looking to grow with all these people here. Got a big room tonight
And also with Peter, who designed the red box. That was really an amazing discovery, and one which I use on, I confess, on every time I do a contract, I wrap it with a solid red box line. And the other person... Okay, somebody was on the call, and what I was saying was that the Vatican Jesuit general uses the solid red box on his communications as well. So there are significance to what Peter has brought to the table, non-negotiable contracts, which he has so eloquently explained to us with the red box. And that's just a red border around your paper. The other thing I want to mention is those who do not have seals yet for your estate. That is a seal that you would imprint on your contracts. You need to make a seal for yourself, because I follow this back all the way to the Roman times, and we have Roman laws that became Caesar's law, became Vatican canon laws. Well, that's the start of the Gregorian calendar. That's the start of the ecclesiastical system. And
right.
You
and
need to have
can I share something with you, Captain Jay? Let me just share something with you. Yeah, that's where me and Brother Michael have gone for the last, probably the last 6 months. We actually know how to do seal stamps and create them. So nobody, like I say, this is very, very, incredible that you're sharing this, because nobody really has a clue, because as a dead entity, you don't have a family crest or seal or whatever, and this is really, really important information, and we're already there. So, it's ironic that all this is tying in all in one fell swoop. It's like, this is a beautiful thing. I'm really excited.
Peter, on that note, seals. Sorry to interject here.
Go ahead.
This is what we found: 1 5/8, 1 7/8, 2 1/8. That's the size of seals that they're currently using. If you check with the notaries in your local state, you're going to find out the notaries are going to come in and they're going to use a 1 5/8 sealer stamp and embosser on usually a 1 7/8 or 2-inch seal. Are you familiar with this lineup?
A little bit. Matter of fact, my webmaster is a notary here in Virginia, so he understands the fundamentals of the different sizes. So, like I said, you and I got to get up, brother. We got some interesting stuff to share. So 2 1/8, everybody. 2 1/8 is the seal that you want to make. We'll come back and Peter will give you more details on that. And here's an inside hot sizzler. Since you're talking about bonds all the time, this is inside hot sizzler. This is what people in the industry talk about. They don't talk about stocks. They don't talk about bonds. That's what they get you to talk about. In the industry, we talk about 3 things and 3 things only. You're moving something down the pipe. What you're moving down the pipe is either a device, an undertaking, or a chattel. Everybody thinks it's a chattel. That's not true. All these bonds, stocks, and shares that are going out in the market, they're all being held by the transfer agent, which is Computershare out of Australia. They hold everybody. Everybody who's got a set of books on the planet, these guys are holding the bottom-end goods. As a transfer agent, at the bottom end, when you go back and you read their books, for example, the Royal Bank of Canada, otherwise known as RBC, if you go to Computershare, they're not holding stocks, they're not holding bonds, they're not holding any of that stuff. What they're holding is $7 trillion worth of Bailey undertakings. And here's the cute joke, here's the joke, here's the cute joke, here's the cute joke, here's the cute joke. You're going to love this. The sovereign citizen kids just can't believe it when I tell them this. You have a constitutional right. Absolutely. You have a single constitutional right, and that single constitutional right is for one thing. You can ask for the Bailey undertaking. That's what it is. That's what your right is. Your ask is for the Bailey undertaking, because everything in commerce is a Bailey undertaking. So that's the inside hot scoop. That's how we talk in the language in the industry. This is when you're doing books all day long, going through accounts, looking through actuary reports. You're not looking for stocks, bonds, or transfers. You're not looking for shares. You're not looking for shareholder status, priority stakeholder, none of that. You're not looking for any of that. All you're looking for is 3 things: devices. You're looking for undertakings. That's everything that's in the market right now. You're looking for chattels. And by the way, just so you want to know, this is funnier than shit. The chattels are the oaths of your ministers and your generals. That's a chattel. That's the chattel. And what is a device? A device is your ability to produce something in present tense communications with no reference to the past, no reference to the future, and done in an adult dialect that clearly states that you are a self-aware adult. That's a device. So anyways, thanks for letting me interject on the seals.
That was very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. And here's the great thing about it. When you go to Google and find out information on Bailey undertaking, you'll find out this is an exceptionally neglected area in Wikipedia and every other source location. They don't have the history of bailment on the Internet. It's not there. Bailey undertaking, the history, not there.
And another thing, what you were saying with regards to the chattel is also your estate, which the Agriculture Department has you down that you were saying male or female. And what they do is they create a recovery bond in case you come back alive. So that's also chattel, is your estate.
Huh.
Not at that point. The chattel actually still is the oath and bonds of the ministers and the generals. That estate still remains an undertaking, because when they release it, they have to release it as a device. That's the trick there. So remember what we told you about this SKV Act? Go order it up, stamp it up, keep the receipt, make sure the photocopy goes on the back. Do the same thing with the Bailiffs Act. That's what we do. That's how we can entertain a conversation with them. It says, is this your act? Are you bound by these rules? Yes. It's notarized? Yes.
It's a form of acceptance of the act that gave rise to their office.
Well, it gives us a reason to explain to them that we don't want you getting a phone call from the upstairs to come and talk to us unless it's to deliver the goods. Remember? who works for who here.
Right. Yep.
Now, your boss is telling you to come down here and get snotty with us, but we're the guys that came to the table to talk to you first. And as we're talking to you, we told you who else we're talking to. We're looking for an enforcement team. And right now, the Auditor General needs somebody on the ground floor that will work with us. And we would like that to be you. I think you as the bailiffs and you as the sheriffs, I think you should be on the ground floor. I think you should be walking with us, shoulder to shoulder, when we're walking into five-star lawyer country to go get a payday. I think it's only fair. It's your payday we're looking for. So that's
hell yeah.
Up here. And we don't have any, like, nobody's ever volunteered to come to it, but when they make a phone call out, it's like, no, we're busy. Nobody answers the phone call. So it's not easy slogging, but if you're consistent and if you're willing to speak their language, when I say that, speak their language, you give them the little tips like I just gave you. Hey, so how you doing on the Bailey undertakings? By the way, I'm here to investigate your surplus accounts. It seems the people over the tax department are unable to find clarification in regards to the TC tax transfer receipts. Apparently you're holding on to them. I'm the goof on the ground floor asking questions. What do I know?
Hey, Jaguar, I love the conversation, but we need to open it up for questions and answers.
Absolutely.
As we're running up at the end.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
Deasha, we got anybody in the loop that would like to raise their hand and ask a question or two? If my producer hasn't gone to sleep. She's there. Okay. She said all mics are open. Can we bring anybody into the loop as far as on the call? As far as anybody wants to ask a question.
I hope we didn't scare everybody away. I was trying to keep it basic, and whenever we have Jaguar on the line, he just jumps right to the point here, and that's what everybody needed to learn is the system ain't based on what you think it is. It's a lot of different components. Once you have the components in place, you're now ready to negotiate with them, and that's a beautiful thing. Most people are not aware about that. Most people don't know that they have a trust estate and there's insurance and reinsurance and devices, all the wonderful things that we're learning today.
Yep. Well, I guess we won't be doing any calls. Deasha says she's having a little problems with the board and some calls, trying to get them through. So that's fine. Folks, this has been an excellent call for those who got on. I'm not shutting down just yet. I have a couple announcements to make.
Do you want me to finish the seal discussion?
What's that?
Do you want me to finish the seal discussion?
Yeah, we
the
can.
the
seal thing because because we have them over Private.me. We actually help people get their seals made up and stuff. So I think just cover we got about 5 minutes. That would be beautiful.
Okay, so basically, when you go back to Roman law, it states back then underneath slavery that a man who is a slave cannot have a seal, a family seal. And back in those days, they used to imprint their seal rather than signing or autographing their signature. And when you have a seal, that delineates you from being a slave in their system. So that's just one component. And I know that, a lot of people are saying now that they love to hear Jaguar speak and that, maybe he can assist one way or another to educate folks out there. And he's doing quite a bit of the work with setting up his websites and everything. He's quite busy with his political subdivision. So he's, Jaguar, do you want to talk about that if you're going to be on any calls or anything regularly?
Oh, I don't have anybody scheduled yet, but it's funny. I mentioned that last week, and I've been on a few. So now I'm pretty much open anytime somebody's got something going. Daytimes, you have to book me in advance because I usually use 8 to 5 to talk to the local politicians. But, well, hey, brother, I'll give you an open invite. I'll give you an open invite for next Tuesday if you'd like to come
play in the sandbox, I'd love to have you. It's always 7 to 9 Eastern Standard Time. I'm not sure if you're West Coast, but anyways, are you? Yeah, you're over with Jade. Go ahead and plug your site real quick so everybody knows where your site is.
Sure.
Okay.
It's creoleharmony.blogspot.com. Go ahead, Jaguar.
And,
no,
Jaguar's
we'll
is
leave
he there
my
as
website
well, or?
to the next show. We'll leave mine to the next one. A bit of a mystery here for you. I want to give Peter a heads up.
Sure. There's a lot of audio calls which Jaguar has done in the past with Joanna, and they're on YouTube, and they're wonderful calls for those to get up to speed with what he's talking about, because he
Right.
is a plethora of information, so one would have to take some time to understand everything that he's saying. But he spent most of his life, his adult life, to know about this system, and we're just lucky on this end to be the receiver of this condensed information.
Yep. Oh, yeah, most definitely. Like I say, well, you've got an open door. I do Tuesdays and Saturdays. Saturdays I'm actually doing a curriculum now, but I keep my Tuesday slots open for anybody who would like to join and share, like Captain Jade here tonight. And I really appreciate you guys coming in because it's allowed me not to run my pie hole all night. It's beautiful. Because sometimes I have to do all the heavy lifting, but that's why I like bringing other folks into it, because gives everybody new perspectives and new information. And this is where we're at in the so-called paradigm shift. So, anyways, brother, you got an open door for next Tuesday if you want to take it. I'm not trying to pin you down. We can get up after the show or whatever.
7 o'clock West Coast time, 5 o'clock West Coast time.
It's 4 o'clock West Coast time. We're 3 hours differential. I'm Eastern Standard, so yeah, it starts at 7. So you're 4. Even if you wanted to pop in an hour later at 5 or something like that, I can carry the front end and have you in on the back end for the last hour as well.
Okay, I'll jump in on that, and I'm just sending you an email to your Yahoo address. So we'll be contacted soon. Yeah, no, I'll jump in on next Tuesday for sure. I love to just like go to the deep end of the pool and keep swimming, and people go, "What are you talking about?" Oh, right, sorry, I'm not talking to an auditor general right now. Okay, but I do really good basic programs. If somebody wants to give me a break on that one, I do bottom structure pretty fair.
Yep. Well, let's see. Matter of fact, I'm going to close out here in a second. Let's get up after the call, brother, and we will talk a little further. Jade can probably get me hooked up in direct line with you, and I'm going to close out the show, folks. I thank everybody who came, Hollywood, John, anyways, I'm not good at remembering all the names.
Yeah,
especially
John and Hollywood. Yeah.
And poor John did a lot more listening tonight. He didn't really get a word in edgewise. Sorry, Brother John, but we're glad you could join us. And Captain Jade, you did an outstanding job.
There he is. Go ahead, John.
I say I appreciate listening. I learned a lot. So, no, I have no problem listening. Sometimes it's better to keep my mouth open. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you. We appreciate you coming in. And, folks, we appreciate everybody who came tonight. It was a beautiful show. For those of you who haven't got on to privatist.me, it's the icon was available on the blog on the Freedom Reigns and the Spirit of Things. It's right on over to the right-hand side. Go ahead and click on, because we have a plethora of excellent information there. And Saturday we'll be taking off on our curriculum on covering further things on this SQV and some other information. So I hope to see everybody next Saturday. And with that, thank everybody for coming tonight, and have a great evening.
Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you, Jaguar.
Thank you. Okay. Thanks, everybody, and we'll catch you on the rebound. Have a great night. Well, welcome to the In the Spirit of Things, folks. We like to go down rabbit trails nobody really wants to go down, and they're not really rabbit trails. They're actually valid trails. Tonight we have a couple of special guests in the loop as well to join me in the call, so it's going to be a beautiful call. And just before we get started, before I go to my special guest, I just wanted to cover, because I know people have been having a problem to get onto privatist.me site. So we posted, for those who came through the door of Blog Talk Radio, in the spirit of things, it's posted right up underneath the 714-868-0749. All you got to do is copy, paste, and put it in your browser icon, folks, your browser port, and it'll bring you right over to privatist.me. And when you sign up and get in, you'll be able to go ahead and see the 8-week curriculum up there on documents I posted last week, as well as the audio call. So that's trying to give everybody a little more direction of flow and ease of access to getting to the site, because I know we had plenty of callers last Saturday, and that many callers, 12 only were able to get through the door. So we're going to try and make this easier. So like I say, it's https://privatist.me. That's the site. And you just go ahead and put that icon in your browser, and you'll be able to get into the site, sign up for free so that you can keep up with the curriculum that I do Saturdays to move forward into basically getting a lot more clarity on how this all started and what the solutions are and how you can apply them. And on that, I'm going to go over. I have Captain Jade. Her and I have been conversing for some time, for some months, and very sharp blade in the drawer. I'll call her a female Peter because she talks and walks like me, so she's got skills. She's a sharp blade in the drawer. I really appreciate her because we speak, we dialogue, and she challenges me on different levels, and she's a deep drink of water. So I like a deep drink of water. That's why she's a captain, and she doesn't drown. She doesn't need her floaties to come play in the pool. So it's beautiful to have the captain on board. And Captain, are you there?
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Peter. Just wanted to say hello to everybody out there who's listening. This is my first radio appearance. Can you hear me okay, Peter?
Yeah, break it up just a little bit. Anyways, hopefully that works itself out as we move along. Let me give you a little bit more overview. Folks, she has a beautiful site, a plethora of outstanding information over at her site, Creo Harmony, and I'm pretty sure it is posted. Is that correct, Jade? It's Creo Harmony. Is that .org or .net or?
Yes, that's creoharmony.blogspot.com. And you can also listen in on the YouTube at Creo Harmony. And I picked that name simply because Creo is the creation of life, and harmony is where we'd like to get to. We are not in a state of harmony with this earth, nor are we in a state of harmony with the government. So that's where I'd like to get to.
Very good. Yeah, we've been dialoguing for some time now. Like I say, you take me to the deep end of the drink, but I do know how to swim. Don't need my floaties with you. So I really appreciate you bringing forward so much beautiful information, and you have a deep well of knowledge, and it's great to talk to somebody who really can banter back and forth, and they don't lose me, and I don't lose them. So it's a beautiful thing when we get on the same page, and hopefully we don't lose our brothers and sisters tonight. We're going to try and keep this really simple because you are bringing forward. How did you manage it? Matter of fact, I want to ask you one question. What made you decide to start peeling the layers of the onion back? What invoked you to know that something was amiss, but what was wrong?
I was doing intellectual property licensing for semiconductors, and then about 2009, I went to work for an attorney in the mortgage industry, and I realized that, there had to be some other remedies that were missing here, and most attorneys were not in tune at that time, but now they become more aware. In relationship to mortgages, it expanded out to credit cards, car loans, then the Treasury, and then the Federal Reserve and the government. So it's it's all interlinked, and it has to do with everybody, a state. Everybody has an estate, although they're not well in tune to be controlling it at this time. And Peter and I, we discuss, different remedies, because when you finish researching, you're doing this, constantly all day long, you want to get to a remedy, right? And you want to get to a point where you're actually able to express that remedy to others so that they can follow along. And it's going to depend on the individual's mindset when they get into it, because a lot of these are not cookie cutter type remedies. You got to think out of the box. A lot of the times the schools are not training the students to be thinking outside the box. And that's really when you're focused on fixing a remedy, you're going to think outside the box, right? Right, Peter?
Right. It seems like your end is sort of breaking up. I'm asking my producer if they say pretty clear on their end, so we're going to move forward. And I really didn't quite catch the question because it seemed like you were breaking up on my end.
I was saying that we have to think outside the box if we want to figure out the solution.
Correct. Oh,
right.
Most definitely. That's where I've been pretty much most of my life. For our brothers and sisters who are on the call today, we're going to go. We have a. Okay. All right. How did that happen? Anyways, my calls always are fun. Anyways, we have a beautiful document that it's not for everybody's perusal, but it's just an informational overview format. So we're going to try and keep this simple and then integrate some dialogue and hopefully do some questions and answers at the top of the hour after the second break. Because this is stuff, folks, this is a little bit of the deep end, but it really is all about the trust. It's really about probating the estate. And we've pretty much figured that out, So now we're trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together to collectively remove the so-called presumptions that keep us from, the estate, basically, so they can't keep stealing the beneficial interest of every man, woman, and child, thinking that we didn't want it. Isn't that correct, Captain?
Yes. What we're trying to identify is the root cause of the problem, and once we know what the problem is, then we can get to a remedy. This is going to affect everybody's lives, not just, people in this country, but people internationally as well, because the whole system, if you're under, any type of Federal Reserve type system with fiat money, these are all applicable because most of England, the corporation crown, and also the Vatican controls all of the various different estates for everybody on this planet. And this is going to take some time to understand. It's not just going to be one call. You guys are going to have the breadth of knowledge that you need to fix the problem. But the root cause of the problem we're going to get into is the Sesticate Trust. People throw that term around, and we want to identify where that came from. And then we're going to talk about some remedies for your estate. If you, and I just want to take it, to this generalization. Barack Obama had an inauguration January 2013. And in his speech, he writes, we the people, the word people means a dead entity, still believe that our obligations as Americans are not just to ourselves, but to all posterity. All right? So you see the word posterity there, and you are one of the people to the preamble to the Constitutional Trust posterity. And that makes you a shareholder of the United States. So if you can understand that, that's pretty good. Now, the word, when people try to talk about the United States or other countries, and they say, well, that country is bankrupt. Well, that's on the public side, they're bankrupt. And there's two sets of books because the system is operating on a quad entry bookkeeping system. If you ever studied accounting, you're going to learn about dual entry bookkeeping. And that's just another easy way for them to hide the funds, is what's going on. And CAFR 1 does an extremely good job on breaking down the CAFR reports. But that's all on the public side of the books. My great teachers, Jaguar, Hollywood, Gene Keating, Roger Elvick, Cindy Brewer, everybody out there who's a teacher, they've shared with me knowledge, and I can bring that present today. I've been bringing it present on my website, on Creole Harmony's website, but not enough so that we can come together as a unified consciousness to try to find out the solution. And we're in the midst of doing that at the present time. And I forgot many other teachers. I'm sorry if I did.
Just on a little overview of what it is.
Okay, the Sesticate Trust by Black's Dictionary is he who has a right to a beneficial interest in and out of an estate, the legal title to which is vested in another. And the person who possesses the equitable right to the property, remember that word, equitable right, to the property, receives the rents, the issues, the profits thereof, and the legal estate of which is vested in a trustee. So what you've got there is equitable and legal title. And the legal estate, your legal estate, is now vested in another party called a trustee. So all beneficial interest of your estate, of this legal title, gets vested in another party, the trustee, who then has an equitable party to come in and receives all the rents and the issues and the profits. Let's say that you have a property that you decided to purchase a property. Look at your deed of trust. It says you're a tenant. Yep. You can already tell that you're inside of a trust in that instance because you don't hold the equitable right to the property. A creditor in bankruptcy can bring an equitable claim. An equitable title allows you to receive the rents and the profits. If you are just holding the legal title, however, such as a grant deed or warranty deed or a certificate to your vehicle, then you are holding the legal title for which you are the trustee, and you're now going to pay the taxes upon any transfer tax. And that's what, when you get a bill every month or every year for your legal title vehicle or your property, then that means that you're the legal title holder as a trustee, and that's why you have to pay the taxes. Everything is a tax, a bond, and a title issue. Legal, tax, and bond title issue. So we're going to get to the remedy, so don't worry about it. Just understand that you're a tenant as a legal title holder, and you don't actually own the land or the vehicle or the property. You have no rights other than the usage rights. Somebody else is going to be receiving the gain from being the equitable title holder. All right. So now we're going to move on to the Sesticate Act. This had to start somewhere. And it started off with the time of the King Henry VIII in England, who created the first Sesticate v. Act of 1540. That's the year. Then it was amended by Charles II in 1666. So when you're mentioning about the Sesticate v. Act, which came from England, there was many times that it was amended. The most common that people mention is 1666, which Peter can post the link for you. It's on the legislation.gov.uk website. And this is a very important act because it defines what is an estate, how they're going to take your estate and take your estate to use your estate as the equitable title holder. Keep in mind that we just covered the Sesticate Trust definition. So the Sesticate v, I'm just going to read a portion of that act. Sesticate v, remaining, mention their names. But basically, when you've got two sets of books, and both of them are dual entry bookkeeping, you don't know which books you're settling. On the private side, you're the creditor. On the public side, you're the debtor. And you need to know how to address each one of those books within the system, because you do have a book. If you've ever signed an application to open up a bank account, you've created a book. And you're directly tied now into the Treasury, into a Federal Reserve, and you're part of the posterity. Your energy, your labor throughout your life, your DNA, everything backs this currency. And they're making a lot of money. So when I see Obama up there, we talk about a lot of political things, but the economy is ruined because they planned it that way, all right? People are not dumb. There's inventors out there. There's great companies out there. And we're not given a chance to survive because that's the way that they program the system to be, is a complete collapse. And there's a reason for that. But on the private side, as everything is collapsing, they're doing, they're arbitraging on the collapse. So they're making money off of it. Sleeping or not sleeping, the world is making trillions. And it was back in 1993, I believe, that the DTC clears about $7 trillion a day. That's chump change compared to what the DTC has to clear in today's time. So when you think about the word bankruptcy and the fact that we're not really bankrupt, and the fact that there's CAFR reports out there that shows how much money these cities and states and counties are making, and none of it's going to the posterity of the people, all right? There's a big problem in that. And it all gets funneled, like Gene Keating would say, that the taxes that you pay would be funneled into the agriculture department. Or you could say that, a lot of the majority of the funds which creates the posterity for the people will be funneled to these other trust funds. And we're going to discuss about those funds or trusts that you're completely linked into, but you have no clue about it. Or maybe you do. This discussion about Sesame Trust, SKV Trust, is one that the sentient beings, we don't call them individuals or person, but the sentient beings like you and I, man and woman, would start to investigate at the beginning of their education. And I'm sorry if I put anybody back 10 years, by talking about this. But this is a basis. So basically, when you have a Sesame Trust, am I able to read this definition out, Peter?
Yes. What's that?
I can read this definition of a Sesame Trust out, right?
That'd be great. Yeah, please do. Yeah, it's just very short, folks. This is just a definition, and you can look it up on the internet. You'll find the definition pretty much posted just about anywhere. It's I'll just spell it just so they understand. It's just folks, CESTUIQUE trust. It's a CESTQ trust. If you come close to it, it'll probably pull it up and bring you into the right portal. Anyways, Captain Jay's going to read just 4 sentences. Just